Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode of RLG Cast Reviews. I'm here with Putty the Putty Man, and I'm here with JD the JD Man. He likes donuts, and the number is
hmm
777, which is like the devil but luckier. Rock on. We're gonna be talking about The Acolyte. It's a Star Wars show. It's on Disney Plus. We're gonna drop a quick review. We'll do a very, very brief spoiler-free section, and then we're gonna talk about the show in all of its glory. Putty will
Glory
now
hole.
describe the show for you.
The show is about before the Sith were a prominent force within the world of Star Wars, if you look at it that way. And we are looking at Jedi's are fluent within the Jedi Council. There's a Jedi community, and we are led into two different people. Well, you assume they're two different people, but we'll get into that later. But basically it's a prequel. I don't know how to put it. Like it's an old
Prequel to the prequel.
It's a prequel to the prequel to the
Takes place
prequel.
100. It takes place about 100 years prior to the Phantom Menace.
There you go. There you go. And it's a new storyline that well, we'll get into how we feel about it as we go along in this review, of course. So
Wow, thank you, Putty. That was very insightful. Now along to my esteemed colleague, Jonathan Donuts.
Takahashi, what's up?
Okay, tell the story of how much you enjoyed this wonderful show.
This was probably to me one of the worst Star Wars products they've shown on Disney. I did not enjoy this, though there was too many plot holes, too many, to put it in wrestling term, too many heel and face switches.
well, see, here's my thing. I look at it as mediocre. When it started off, I liked the idea. Even some of the core values that they're trying to do, I liked. But the weird thing is that, like, for example, certain characters, when I saw them, like, oh, they're cool. Then I'm like, oh, they just feel like another Kylo Ren again. Like, it's one of those situations where it's like this is they get to things that are like really cool, but they're just more of a visual stunning thing. Like,
Which
oh,
one, the
that's
man in the
epic.
iron teeth?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I think it's a cool outfit. It's just well, we'll get into the other stuff later and everything. It's just that's the thing. Visually, there's some cool stuff that happens. Some things I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And let's just say it has to do with a lightsaber. You guys probably know what I'm referring to. I'm like, what is going on here in
And a
that
green
sense?
M&M, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like it just this show, I feel like I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to set up a new universe and try to open things up. But like I
But you're
feel
breaking canon. You destroyed
yeah.
so much
Yeah,
canon in
hold
this
on
show.
though.
But let's
This
not
is
get
so
into spoilers with that just yet, though.
and we'll talk about that later, but I spent majority of my morning in this deep discussion about the show with a bunch of people, and I've come to the conclusion that Star Wars fans, even the ones that mean well, that are not like the bad fans, including probably JD, which we're gonna get to,
Mhm.
are just absolutely delusional. Um, they break canon. We won't get into it yet, for something that was already broken the canon to make it canon, which is the most dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life,
Mhm.
to which is now being broken again. So I don't
Well,
necessarily see it as a negative. But
But
we'll
there's
save
two
that.
things. There are two things I'm
We'll wait,
talking
we'll
about,
get to
not
all
just
of it.
one.
We'll get to all of it.
well,
I
well,
just think there's an over looking at this as a person criticizing a TV show is, I think, a different angle that a lot of people aren't seeing. If you're a diehard Star Wars fan, you're seeing things here that just make butthurt feelings, like Putty when we don't want to
Okay,
watch
take away
Deadpool.
the Star Wars aspect of it. It still was a poorly written show.
well,
It's I wouldn't necessarily say it was awfully written. I think the dialogue was terrible. Throughout the entirety of the show, the dialogue is terrible. I think the two child actors are fucking awful.
No, the young child or the older child.
The very when they're like at the beginning of the show, like
Do
when
you, do
they're
you,
which
when
of them is little
when they're
kids.
little kids?
yeah,
Well, those are
Okay.
actual twins. Yeah, they're
they
terrible.
it was so bad, and like the way
But
they're
even the older actress,
but the way they're
Amanda
directed. So there's a
Stenberg,
part where
yeah.
they're teaching them, they're like supposed to be learning and they're not paying attention. There's like a ball and they're pushing each other back and forth. And it's like nobody would, during an entire like thing where you're being taught something, where let's just say
Yeah.
we're being sped across it. So it's to us, it's like 4 minutes. To them, it's probably like 10 minutes. Would just keep pushing each other back and forth for the ball. Like eventually someone would have been like, can you shut up? Like
Yeah.
we can
Well,
see that you're standing right here making all this noise. Just shut up.
Well, in a standpoint, and this is not even spoilers. The problem I had with this is, it's funny. I see certain things, and I was holding on to this because I remember when I was watching it. Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna say this right now. Acolyte, I didn't even know this existed. I saw a review online. I'm like, there's a new Star Wars show. So then, of course, I go look, and I'm like, it didn't feel like there was any hype towards it in the beginning in
To
the
me,
first
it didn't
place.
feel like Star Wars at all.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. There are elements of this that I'm like, this is awesome, this is awesome, but it's like sprinkling little things to make me happy. But then there's other things that go, I like that idea, but I myself feel like I could write this better in a different way. It's because there's so many, like you said yourself, there's so many plot holes, and then there's some in there that I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. But then I'm like, then all of a sudden I see something else, and I'm like, you led into something stupid with this. And the same situation, now you're changing not even the canon, but a lot of
This
things
feels
that are
like
just
Star
weird.
Wars fanfic.
But
It
yeah,
does,
but I mean, to be honest with you, Obi-Wan also felt like Star Wars fanfic, and
but
so
it's
did
better in this
Ahsoka.
though.
They're both better than this.
They are.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna say in terms of Disney Plus shows for Star Wars, this is the worst one.
I
Not
agree.
I
even
agree.
It's not even close.
Well, see, here's my thing.
However, I don't think it's a terrible show. I just think, like what Putty said, there's really good ideas. Like the writing had really good ideas. It just seems to forget that it's trying
Poorly
to get to that
executed.
spot. It
And
keeps
see
it
here,
keeps telling you this is where we're going, and then decides it's not going there, and then takes like a side road for a bit.
Okay, we had 8 episodes, almost $300 million in budget. 2 episodes were the exact same thing, just shown from different perspectives.
And
Mhm.
also, I don't know where that budget went because the fight scenes and the graphics were not very good.
No.
Well,
So
I
where
mean,
did the two and I was expecting more of the Wookiee.
I guess they paid a lot for
I
Mandy
agree.
Gencito.
Well, I mean,
And
the other thing,
Trinity there.
the other thing is when it came to this, when I first saw the first episode, I had no context because I'd never seen trailers or anything like that, and I'm a big trailer buff. The thing was is I got excited from the beginning because I was like, oh, we're getting a brand new story that's kind of gonna open up new avenues. Because I'm always telling people, get away from the Skywalkers. I love Boba Fett, but even in that situation, we need new stuff to set up new ground for new characters. The problem is with this is that it feels like they're doing exactly what I'm looking for, but then all of a sudden they push so much of elements I love into it to push this show to another level, and then like, yeah, those are elements I want, but I need these spread apart. Like, give me this scene that happened way down the road and fill in some gaps here. You're chunking things too
I
much
think you're
together.
right. This would have worked better if it was less than 100. If it was more, if this took place 1,000 years in the past instead of
Well,
100.
well, even in that situation, like they should have spread this story out. For example, and again, I have to get into spoilers, so I won't do that. But like, there should have been characters that should not have been together yet until like season two. Like they should have led into stuff
Apparently, there
because
is
it
no
felt like,
season 2 now.
well, yeah, don't give me a season two because I was, here's my thing. Season two would have been great if they led into stuff like the finale of this should have been season two's finale. And the reason I say that is because I feel like if they filled in spots and did like a certain fight scene that happens in the middle of things, that should have been the ending and way more epic than it was. You know what I mean? And that should have been the ending
Rather than
because then
just
know what they
some
accomplished.
girl watching everybody die.
Yeah, like
Um,
uh,
And X-23 getting
yeah. Anyways, before we go too deep into that, let's just drop a rating here. I'm gonna say like I'm not 100% what I would rate it yet, but I'll just say 6.3. I think that's safe.
I'm close. I was at a 6.2, 6.1.
oh, when we were talking about doing this review, I was actually going to say my own review in this situation, which I'm going to just post this as it. I'm saying 5.5. Like
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a little too low for me, but I can't hate that
If you want to
score.
watch something on Disney Plus, go watch Will Trent. That is excellent,
I don't even know what that is.
but it's
Or
good.
if you want to watch Star Wars, just go back to Mandalorian. I mean, honestly, that's way better than this
Yeah,
ever
and
will be.
this is a thing too. So now that we're opening up the floor for spoilers, 3, 2, 1 spoilers. Um, a lot of people are saying like, the changes that are happening because Disney and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, let's just stop for a second. If you remove your personal feelings and you
Mhm.
put them to the side. The Mandalorian and the second half of Andor are far and away the best Star Wars thing ever. They beat any of the
Oh yeah.
movies. None of the movies are even close to that good. None
At
of
least
them.
none of the new ones.
None of them. Okay, because we like we hold the original trilogy as like special, but when you break down those movies critically, they're not good. They have bad acting, they have bad writing, they have bad directing, they have bad visual effects. For the time, maybe they were like kind of state of the
Top
art.
tier.
But if you watch the ones before they're touched up in like the 90s re-release of the VHS and then
Yeah.
so on and forth, it doesn't look even close to that good.
Well, see, it's funny you say that too, because and I know we're talking about this review, but this leads into Star Wars. So say anyway, I own shirts, but like for example, I've been more addicted to the Mandalorian. Like I've gone back to watch seasons because there's something special
The
about it.
first season of The Mandalorian was special.
Oh
Season 2 was
God,
really good too. I think where it
Yes.
loses its footing is in season 3, but I still think it's very good.
It loses its footing because it's not The Mandalorian, it's The Mandalorians.
Yeah.
yeah. But see, the thing is, the relationship between Grogu and Din are the major reason those are so good. And it's like it's not easy to make a show good with someone in a helmet and a little puppet. But my God, when the way they pulled it off, this
Well,
is an
you know
example.
why
Like,
it works? The reason that it works so well is because they made it like a Western where the person that you're
Mhm.
dealing with doesn't show emotion. Like you could watch
Mhm.
any of those Clint Eastwood movies from the 60s and his performance works because
He's
they
stone faced.
the story around him
Mhm.
conveys what he's feeling while he gives you nothing to go on. So it's
Mhm.
like that's why it works. If it wasn't done in like a Western styling, I don't think it would have worked
I
well.
agree. I agree. Well, let's jump back into this because I'm gonna. This is you said something with the helmet, and this is a prime example of why
I think
this
that helmet
frustrated me.
looks really cool. Like
It looks cool, but
But
like I understand it
well,
serves a purpose as to block out the intrusive thoughts. It's kind of
so
like the way Magneto blocks out
of
Professor X.
Xavier's. Yeah. Well, so here's what I'm gonna say about that. When I saw the big bad, the Sith, I was like, "Ooh, this guy's sick looking." You know what I mean? This is awesome. Here's the way, since we're in the spoilers, this is the way I would have fit it. That whole fight scene where he kills all those Jedi, that's your season finale. And the reason I say that is this. Here's the reason why. The whole story of her being conflicted with the Sith and finding her sister and going against him, if he would have stayed that one guy that was leading her there and she didn't know it was actually her master in this whole situation, that would have been an epic reveal as a season finale. So you could have led into where maybe he had some like fodder as far as like troops or something like that, that the Jedi can kill things of that nature that he's commanding and something like that.
But it turns out he's not the master, he's the apprentice.
What do you mean? Oh well, yeah, because of the Jedi's and everything. But I mean, but
No.
my what do you mean? For her, you mean?
The final episode, Darth Plagueis in the cave watching him.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. But which that okay, so that leads into the other thing. The Plagueis thing could have been something they could have introduced later too. But again, that was just kind of like you see
It was
yourself.
a
I totally
throwaway
forgot about.
scene.
Exactly. And see, here's my thing. If you built up the whole thing, because if you did the whole thing and let the relationship between her and him and the goofy guy that she was selling to and all this stuff, let them have a relationship. And he's like, I'm afraid of him. I'm afraid of him. Yeah, I'm afraid of him too. I'm afraid of him too. And leading to a thing where the whole story where they actually get a bond together, then all of a sudden the Sith comes in, kills these Jedi, and she's standing there, and then he removes the helmet. Like, oh my God, it's been him the whole time, and then end it there. And that would have been a
Well, it's
great
like the
season
Jedi
finale.
did not find out. Let's go with the prequels here. The Jedi did not find out that Palpatine was the Emperor, which was Darth Sidious, until the third film.
Exactly.
We knew,
So
but
you
they didn't. So it was a slow burn.
I think
Mhm.
though, I think if I were to rewrite this show, this is what I would have done.
You just
I
have the
would have
Wookiee kill all of them.
I would have kept it at 8 episodes. Okay.
Mhm.
I would have
Shown them in order.
I no, this is what I would have done. I would have started the show the way it starts off with the girl, but not dressed in a way where it's so obvious that it's a different person. Just like a very generic looking her. Fights the
Mhm.
Sith lady, Matrix kills her. The rest of the entire show is them chasing the good one without you knowing that there's another one. So you get up
Yeah.
to like episode 6, okay, of them chasing
Mhm.
her and her running and her trying
That's
to
when you do
prove
the
that she's
flashback.
innocent, and then you're thinking the whole time that it's because she's has like a second personality that comes out, and they like you hint at that even though it's not true. Then you have it become where you find out the backstory. Episode 7 is the entire backstory, and now there's twins, and you're like, holy shit, there's been twins this whole time, and it's been the other girl. That's why she's running. Then through like a series of randomness, you have it the main Jedi guy, Saul or whatever his name is, find out that
The guy from Squid Game.
that it's the girl that he's been training. He doesn't even know that he's chasing the girl that used to be his Padawan. Now he finds out about that, okay? So now you're going into the last episode with she's running, she doesn't know that he's the one chasing her. He's just found out it's her. So now instead of killing her, all the Jedi want to kill her, he's going to try to protect her and save her while they're on this manhunt and try to get her to get the sister because he knows it's not her now, it's the sister, okay?
Yeah.
And then the episode ends with Putty, what Putty said. All of the Jedi go to confront her. They all get slaughtered by the bad guy. Now they think she's the one that killed all those Jedi. So now she's even in more trouble. And and at the very end of the episode, you have her sees the dead girl X-23 on the floor, and then like Saul grabs her, and then the episode ends. So now you go into the next season where he's going to try to protect her. We're now going to meet the twin sister, and now we're going to meet the Manny Jacinto guy that ends up becoming the other guy. And I think that's the way you should have told the story. The problem is they spill all their beans in the first
two episodes. Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't mind that.
So there's no stakes for the rest of the season.
But I think if you drug it out and you made it like a fugitive story, it would have been so much more interesting. You could have literally stole the exact storyline that is The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and just made it into a Star Wars story.
Well, now that you say that, here's the other thing I thought about too. You were talking about the whole twin thing. The great thing is with Star Wars, there's a tendency of they like, oh, we don't like in other shows, even in movies, they show past things that have happened that make you go, oh, I think this is something that happened in the past. Prime example, you could have still showed her sister training with the Sith. And then you could still, like, for example, if she's on a run, you could thought, okay, this is the same person, different person, how it might be, and introduce the Sith as the last episode. And then, of course, again, because
but they made it a little too obvious from the first episode that they're two different people because one has long hair, the other one has short hair.
You also notice right away because you see the death happen. And then all of a sudden you snap to like, we're having so much fun and we're doing stuff. And it's like, okay, this is obviously not the person that was fucking murdering people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a weird conundrum with this because there's a lot of times, like, I feel like this show, there's so many ways that all of us could have rewrote this to be better. Because, again, the same situation as we talked about, I thought the whole time this Sith was not going to be revealed. I'm like, oh, he's got a badass mask. He's not going to be revealed in this whole situation. This is going to be like a Vader situation where we're going to get it at the end. And it's like, oh my God, it's been this guy the whole time. And for it to be so quickly switched off in that situation and move into another part of it, it felt like we got like 3 broken movies into one season that just didn't know where. Wow. Yeah, right. And it's I don't know. It's just so frustrating because I want to like things in this and I want to still enjoy the show. And there's elements of the show I want to continue, but they screwed it up so badly with the plot holes that it's like. And okay, and one thing we didn't bring up: the crystal. Am I wrong? They don't change color because you darn Sith, do they?
You literally have to bleed the crystal to make it turn red. You have to kill the crystal and bleed it out. That's why it goes red. So the crystal is actually a living thing. And the owner of the crystal is the only one that can do that.
Okay, so
because according to Star Wars lore, you have to, the crystal chooses you, not you choose the crystal.
Right. No, I understand that, but I don't think it changes automatically like it did right
there.
So
is that like why the colors are the colors? Because the color stone chooses you and it's that color. Yeah, you don't choose what color you like.
Because exactly. I know that part because of Mace Windu. That situation, because it was the first time they got a purple saber and they had to get
it. And they did it again today in this episode, in this season, in this show.
Yeah.
The whip saber or whatever it was called. The limp saber.
And like that was
that's the noise it makes when it comes out. It goes.
But that was the same situation. When I saw the crystal change, I'm like, that's not how the crystals change.
So going back to what I was saying about breaking canon. One, you're already breaking canon there because the only person who could have bled that crystal was Soul because that was his lightsaber.
Yeah.
She cannot bleed that lightsaber. And no, your blood touching the crystal does not make it red. That's not how it works. You literally have to break it, kill it to bleed it.
Okay, so you see, this canon is like, I'll be honest with you, this is like the one where it's like, I get this bothering people, but I don't care.
Okay, let's talk about another canon breaker then. Ki-Adi-Mundi. In episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The Sith have been extinct for over 1,000 years, but yet 100 years earlier, he's there?
See, but this is the thing with George Lucas lore specifically. So the stuff you guys are talking about with the lightsaber, that's not George Lucas lore. That's book lore, which is
But it is established canon because it's been done in the Disney
yes,
universe.
yes. But the book lore is where I consider the lore being the truest. Okay, the problem with the books is now they're no longer canon.
Right.
But I agree with the fact that during those years of when things were all canon, the book lore is the real lore. Because George Lucas's dumbass fucking lore that he had in the movies is the most nonsensical gibberish you've ever heard. It was like people had to take what he said and then correct it because he had no idea. The guy who created Star Wars had no idea what he was doing.
Well, because he was
to go make the
overwhelmed.
I'm not done yelling. He went to go make the prequels. Okay. And then realized, oh shit, I have to come up with 3 movies worth of stuff. What am I gonna do? And people literally have said that he got to the drawing room, the drawing board, and had no idea what he was gonna do, and just started pulling shit out of his ass. And like metachlorians are the dumbest single thing in all of Star Wars.
Yeah,
that is
I
the
agree.
dumbest situation ever. And the one argument I have, okay, that I don't agree with fanboys being mad about is the witches. I think the witches is a really cool idea.
Yes.
I just think they should have thought about it differently because what they made it, this is how they made it work. Like we already know that in a sense the Jedi
they're their own little cult.
The Jedi are like the police, kind of, okay?
Yeah, but they made the Jedi
like
seem evil in this. They made the Sith sympathetic in this show, and
I felt like what they did was not really that, but they kind of made the Jedi's like lame because what you had was you had the witches who are like basically you're showing us that there are other Force users. There's other groups of people who are able to use the Force, and the Jedi are trying to control all of those people who know how to use the Force, whether it be good or bad. And it made them come off like just like loser beat cops showing up like, hey, you guys can't do this.
Well, here
it's like Judge Reinhold looping up the badge saying, "Police, stop!"
See, exactly. JD, I'm going to go against what you're saying for one reason. Here's the thing: the whole idea with the whole Jedi, where they can't really be emotional when it comes to like being sad, anger, that kind of thing. We are human beings. They're. I guess if you want to call them human beings, how you want to look at it, they're creatures that have emotions and things of nature. I actually liked the idea. This is another one of those bits that I liked, but it took it a different way. I like the idea of being sympathetic to a Sith. And the reason I say that is because a Sith goes through more emotions than a Jedi ever will in those situations. And to have a sympathetic Sith is actually a cool thing because it's kind of like being sympathetic to the Joker or things like that in those situations. You love that villain and you hate the turmoil he's went through. The problem I had is again, that's a storyline that would have been so great because if you would have had her connecting with him before she knew he was actually her master, if you would have had that situation, then what will happen is we would have grown to really love him and care for him and see those emotions he's dealt with not knowing he's a Sith. And then when we find out he is a Sith, I'm like, oh shit, that makes sense now. And this makes it even more cooler. The problem is they drew out the whole sympathetic part too quickly. They drew out the revealing of him too quickly. And they did not give his badass darkness a chance to grow. He was just dark for 1 second in one episode. And it's like, oh, look, helmet off. Oh, who's this guy? It's that guy.
We got to see Sith butt.
Yeah. And the thing is there's so many parts, like I said, that was a part that I actually liked. I liked the sympathetic Sith thing, but they did it so horribly, and it frustrates me because
it was poor execution. It was 100% poor execution.
Like,
okay, let me get
it's
your
also
thoughts.
Severely boring. The entire show from start to finish is severely boring.
Like I understand like the cult, like there's a little sect out in the galaxy that follow their own thing. That don't even call it the Force, they call it the Thread. I'm not upset with that. And they want to control it to the way they see fit. Fine. There in actual canon, there's also the Night Sisters who do what they want with the dark side. They don't see it as the dark side of the Force. They just use it to their own benefit, the Night Sisters.
And I look at it this way. Force people, you have to understand in other galaxies, because I think of it as like a religion. Because they even mentioned the whole religion situation. Think of it as religion. There are religions everywhere where people are like, I don't know this religion exists. It's in the world because that's what they believe in.
And the universe for them is so vast that like there must be other people.
Yes,
Yeah.
there have to be other people that have force but don't know it's force. So they think, oh, I have witch powers. Oh, I have magic powers. And so they call it something different. And I like that idea. And people that are going to get mad about that, I'm like, dude, calm down. It just means that they don't know that that term is used force.
Well,
And again, it
it's
doesn't
like
matter.
you take the three Abrahamic religions, like for example, you take Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They're all three derivative from the same source of the Abrahamic religions. And it's just three, and at this point now it's three different sects, right? There's Christianity, there's Judaism, and there's Islam, right? Not saying that either one is better than the other. I'm just saying that it's three different, so it's a different view. That's all it is. And the thread is a different view than the force. I can understand that. Like that I have no issue
I
with.
think though that this putting this 100 years ago, this is my issue here. And I very rarely have issues with Star Wars lore because I already find Star Wars lore to be so loose and ridiculous, where at least Star Trek has a hold of what the hell they're doing. Okay. Um, the witches thing now. So you're telling me when Darth Sidious, that whole thing happens and they kill all the Jedis, that they literally went and killed all the witches too? They killed everybody that was force sensitive? Because now they didn't mention any of that. This should have took place in the future, where now we're discovering that there are other places this whole time that have had these people, and they just
See,
because they're not Jedis, the Siths couldn't detect them, right?
here's the other. Well, here's the other thing. I like the idea, but see, the thing is, I also like the idea
It leaves
of
you to explain too much. Now you have to explain
right. No,
too
I agree.
much to
Yeah.
But see,
get rid of them.
But here's my thing though. If you would have done this even way more back then, like thousands of years, like KOTOR situation, and did something of that nature, then that would explain. Okay, this.
I think
they're
that's what she
gone-
was
they're
trying
gone.
to do, but it didn't. It did. She didn't execute it well.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Because see, things, Campo, using what you're saying, and pointing in the wrong direction. Using what you're saying is, yeah. The thing is if they would have done it later, I understand that. But actually, the reason I feel like the past is good is because they can give you that knowledge. Then people will think that stuff's gone. Then come back later and like, oh, this has been here the whole time, but we didn't know this stuff
But
exists.
1,000 years, they could have gone extinct since then too,
Exactly.
right? So,
And see that also gives you a time to
and I
fuel some
think
good
they did it
ideas.
when they did it was because they wanted to do that reveal at the end of the last episode.
My thing is the problem I have, and like for example, the ending. Since we're in spoiler, that ending, I did not feel sympathetic to these girls at all, and that was what frustrated me. That
She
ending
changed
should,
so many times. I'm evil. I'm
yes,
good. I'm good. I'm evil. I don't know what I
yes.
am. Like,
And see, the thing is, again, that's a situation. If you would have stretched it out, made that the season 2 finale, then we would actually fell for them. You know what I mean? We're like, oh God, I've been
the
with
one
these
that's
girls for
supposed
two
to be
seasons.
good uses force choke to kill her master.
They didn't give us the time to give them any kind of time together for us
No.
to appreciate and care for him. There's so many points in there where it's like, dude,
So spoiler, Soul dies. She's killed by Osha, the good one.
yeah,
Which
and then all of a
can
sudden
someone
his
explain that to
lightsaber
me?
turns red.
Someone explain that to me.
What do you need
So I thought you had
explaining
to
on?
learn. I thought you had
Why?
to learn choke.
Why what?
Why did she do it?
We don't, because he killed her mother and he was
Yeah,
hiding
remember?
it from her the whole time.
Yeah,
But it's like, wouldn't they have realized that when the whole time she was accusing her sister of being the one to kill the mother, even though prior to that, the Jedi were telling her that it wasn't her sister that did it, that somebody did it. And
Yeah.
then you went through all these things, and now all of a sudden it's this guy? The best
Yeah,
guy
that
on the
is
whole
true.
show, literally the best guy on the whole show, is like now
The
we
guy
don't
who
have
couldn't
him.
even speak English, he specifically learned English for this show.
He's the
And
best part. Him and
The Wookiee.
the Wookiee. Okay,
yeah,
but no,
and
the
see,
the guy that does poison guy. What's his name? It's a bad guy.
I don't know.
Manny
about
Jacinto there?
Yeah. What the
The
whatever.
man in the iron teeth.
Yeah. What was his character name though?
I don't know, Quentin or
I don't
something
know.
like that.
But see, that's a prime example. Saul, the Sith. These are two characters I really liked in the beginning until
But see, that's the thing. He didn't even reveal a Sith name. He didn't
well,
call
yeah,
himself Darth anything.
exactly. Well, that's my whole point. There's so many times that those two plot holes or plot lines could have been stretched out to give us a little more backstory. Make adventures, have them go meet up with other characters, have them be like, we're still investigating this girl, that we're still trying to find her sister, and there's this whole backstory,
I
and maybe
think
even it's
I
just
think
frustrating.
there's an easy way to find out what his name was. What was his most defining feature other than his butt?
Keith.
The mask.
No, like
His arms.
no, come on. What was his thing? That was like when you looked at him as the bad guy, what do you notice first?
The
The
helmet.
mask.
Okay. Say it again, Putty.
The teeth.
No, you said it before.
The helmet.
Okay, and now Darth
Dark helmet. That's
Just
been
call it-
taken.
Darth helmet though.
Okay.
I see where you're going, and that would have been a nice little nod.
Was
to
it? What's the
Spaceballs.
internet calling him? Smilo Ren?
Oh, that's good though. I actually really
But
like
see,
that.
but see, that's my point. This felt so much like. But see, the thing is, I actually liked his character better than Kylo Ren.
Listen,
It's just
if you're gonna sympathize with episode 1, anyone on Earth, this is my message to anyone. Feel free to leave a comment. If you at all in any way sympathize with episode 1 outside of the pod racing scenes and the final lightsaber battle, you cannot look at this show legally and call it bad.
Well, I'm
Because
not an episode 1 defender.
I'm just saying,
so
I'm letting say speaking to the internet. Because episode 1 is so bad that if you're saying that it's in any way good, then you have to admit that this show is good. That's
I just like the
that's
Darth Maul
if you
scene.
like
I
the
just-
Genoshans, you cannot say that this show is.
exactly.
Yeah, kind of do look like Boss Nass there. Yes, people gonna die.
Mr. Gonna die. No.
Anyways, shouldn't there have been Gungans in this?
They weren't on Naboo, so why should there be?
I mean, they should just exist.
Just in general.
Yeah, there should be like Barbar Binks, and it's his mom. And
Barbar
like
Jinx.
100 years before, right? So Barbar
Mr. Barbar
Jinx is
Binks.
his mom.
Mr. Mama Binks.
Mr. Mama Binks.
You know, but listen,
That's right.
it's I completely understand the issues with this show. I just think complaining about the Star Wars-ness of it is not the route that's going to win you any battles, in my opinion, because if you're looking from a critical standpoint, those Star Wars issues are not bothering me.
I mean, outside of the
Okay, what
crystal-
about the fact, like I know a lot of people are complaining of the fact that the two girls were created through the Force, kind of like the way Anakin was, and a lot of people are complaining of the fact that you just took away what made Anakin special.
Also, they're nowhere near as powerful as Anakin Skywalker.
No,
but here's the problem with that. Okay, again, that.
But maybe this is where Darth Plagueis learned it and taught it to Sidious, and Sidious perfected it.
Okay, but let's again. This goes back to the situation.
I'm not upset about.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was leading to. I'm going to say the same thing. I'm not upset about these things. It's just, again, let's use the lightsaber again from changing from one color to another. Even if that breaks lore, if you would have saved that as a big event for like a second season ending, then I would have had time to develop with this character, and that would have been like, oh shit, this happened. You know what I mean? That's the thing that's happening with this. There's too much coming at one time, and you're not giving me time to appreciate these characters at all. Yeah, right. You're not giving me time to appreciate because you're not giving me time in bed. I need some foreplay.
Just time out.
I need foreplay.
Everyone stop this. This is Putty on Pornhub. It's going too quick. I don't have time to appreciate the characters.
I don't have time to appreciate.
It's pretty much. I'm gonna.
Putty watches porn for the character development.
Yeah,
they should start an original series. Do you think we should pitch that idea to them, starting an original series on Pornhub?
Let's do it.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, I'll agree with you on that. Actually, that is, I'll look at it that way. The release was too quick, and I was wanting to enjoy a few more minutes of
what
the story.
Happened to the pizza? I want to know what happens to the pizza.
What
does anybody eat the pizza?
Does the
Are
plumber
we just
fix the
wasting
sink?
pizza?
Does the plumber fix the sink at all, or is he only going to be in her pipes? Because I want pipes.
Is he a certified plumber? Do we just allow anyone into my house?
Is he certified and bonded by the city? I need to know these things.
If you're coming in to watch Star Wars and just to be like get a 5-minute quickie, this is perfect for you. That's
Buddy,
what you get.
You get the moment you're watching it, okay, and you get the Leonardo DiCaprio point moment when it's like all the universes are connected. When he's like, the girl's behind him and he's doing it. He's like, yeah, my brother usually helps me. His name is Luigi, and you're like, connected universe.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I agree. I agree, Putty, with whatever you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just. It's so frustrating because I look at this and there's so many elements that I liked that I would have loved gone into something else, and now they're never going to bring it back because this went so badly that cool things that actually happened in this.
And which we didn't even talk about Yoda at the end.
They didn't need to do that.
They didn't.
I didn't know about. Was this at the end credits or something?
No, this is literally the last frame of the show. She goes, Master, there's something we need to discuss, and you see the back of Yoda's head.
I missed that. I literally, I guess I turned it off too quickly because I was actually mad. I was
Because
like,
it
this
fades
sucks.
to black, and that's why you probably shut
Also,
it
like,
off.
why are
I
Jedi
did.
so
I
weak?
did.
Like, how did this guy kill so many Jedis?
They got soft and complacent.
See,
That's why the
that's
Sith were able to take over in
yeah.
episode 1.
And that's cool. See, again, that's another idea that's cool, but lead into that. Don't make it a thing that happens right away. Lead into that as the last episode of this season and
Give me
give
some
us.
foreplay.
I want some foreplay, baby. I mean, I deserve a dinner and a date. Don't just throw me in bed and use me. I mean, good lord. And at the same time, I'm not even getting the foreplay in that sense too. I'm just getting like wham bam, thank you, man. When it came to this, and it wasn't a good bam. I just got a little bit of wham. I'm just saying.
Every now and then we like to be used a little, but hey.
Again, like I
Anyways,
said,
we're gonna end this here. I don't want to hear Putty repeat the same thing again. Pornhub, call us. We have original ideas.
Yes.
And thank you for watching. Do.
Do.
do.